Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
We're all well. If you would like to briefly introduce yourself and then you can jump right in.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. My name is Andrew Calderwood, and I work as a mechanic and tractor operator for Jasper Hill Farm and Andersonville Farm in Hardwick, Greensboro, Craftsbury, and Glover in the Northeast Kingdom. Um, just a little bit of background on Jasper Hill. They make some of the world's and the state's best cheeses. They have won the American Cheese Society Awards numerous times. They've won Best of Show at the World Cheese Awards in London. It is definitely some of the premier cheese in the world. Um, we only feed our cows, our lactating cows, dry hay. This is both for biosecurity reasons and for flavor reasons in the hay. They don't like to use silage. So this puts extra weather constraints on us in the summer. As you all know, you make hay when the sun shines, and in Vermont, we rarely have nice solid 3 or 4 day weather windows with good sun and no rain, making it very challenging for us to put up all of our hay this way. Um, for these reasons, we have lots of modern complex equipment, um, from tractors to telescopic handlers that reach out with a extending boom, skid steers, self-propelled mowers, and the likes of that. These machines are all computer fired, as in they have a computer on board and they will not operate without that computer. Same as our cars have been for about 30 years now. Um, we, as you'd expect, you're always going to have breakdowns when dealing with equipment, regardless of how new it is. And we expect that, and we expect to have to fix our equipment. There are some times when we are unable to fix our equipment, and I'll give you a few examples here of times when it was critically important that we have machines and we didn't have the ability to fix them because of not having access to software. So probably the most glaring issue we had was we bought a brand new $175,000 telehandler last spring from John Deere, not a John Deere branded one, but from John Deere. It ran well for a while, a month or two, and then it threw a code, low quality diesel exhaust fluid, and it would not run at above an idle. We could not use the machine. This machine is critical for us to stack the dry hay as high as we need to in our tent in order to have enough room to store our entire year's hay. So if we are brought back to stacking with a tractor, we can only stack bales 6 high, whereas with the telehandler, we can stack them 10 high. And that is, as I said, essential to be able to get all of our feed under cover. So with this issue, it was a very simple issue. The diesel exhaust fluid was dirty, contaminated, and the dosing nozzle was plugged. We could drain the tank. We could clean the nozzle. We could not tell the computer that the machine was fixed and to start running itself properly again. So we contacted John Deere, who sold us the machine. They said, we do not have the ability to work on the machine because it's not a John Deere machine. We're going to have to get a Merlo or an Fiat powertrain technician in. That technician came from Oklahoma City. It took him, a couple of days to get here. And then once he got here, it was a very simple matter of him plugging in his computer to get our machine back up to full power. It took him less than an hour. That machine had that same issue happen to it again later in the year. This is all covered under warranty. But we were down for weeks at a time with a machine that, is critical to our operation. I'll give you some other issues that we've had. So last year we went out the first day that we were going to be baling in late May. Gorgeous feed, the most high dollar feed of our year that we make in May and June. And the John Deere tractor that we were using to rake the hay, or going to be using to rake the hay, wouldn't turn on the PTO. Nothing mechanically wrong with the tractor. It was a software issue. But that involves us getting a John Deere technician to come down on a Saturday or possibly a Sunday, which they obviously don't like, to come and essentially just plug into these machines and just sort out the software and the machines so that they will run again. Our skid steer has had similar issues where it will derate itself for software issues. We fixed the hardware issues that cause the codes, but we cannot clear those codes and tell the machine to run properly. Since OBD2 ports have been available on cars, it has been federally mandated that those cars have those ports and that consumers have the ability to do everything from access the cars to modifying the software or clearing codes. You can spend between $20 and $2,000 on an OBD2 scanner to work on your car. And it's not necessarily that we don't want the dealerships we don't want to pay the dealerships to work on this equipment. As I said, most of this equipment is covered under warranty, and it doesn't cost us anything to have it repaired, but it costs us thousands and thousands every day that we need to be using this equipment and that we're not able to. Yeah, that's the synopsis of what I want to say is that we're not looking to remove, we're not looking to take any business away from dealerships. We're looking to take, a load off their plate. For example, our skid steer currently is down with a sensor issue. It'll run at like half throttle, so we can get the job done, just not very quickly. And the dealership just doesn't have the time. They don't have, their techs are fully booked. They've got other priority jobs that are above us, and we do not have the ability to talk to that machine and tell it to start running correctly again. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Andy. Let's see if we've got questions from the committee. So I'll ask a question. If this bill were law today, would you personally be able to make the repairs to the equipment in the situations you've just mentioned?
Yep. So in that first example where the telehandler needed the technician to come all the way from Oklahoma, that in that situation, absolutely yes. I had already made the hardware repairs, right? Cleaned and drained the system, and the hardware was good to go. It just needed the computer to be plugged in to tell the machine to essentially reset and tell it to try again. Which it would not do without the computer, the software.
And when you say the computer, when I've been to a car mechanic, they have a little, maybe an iPad, something that I know they bring out to the car. Do you have that computer? And is it something that you would have to pay for?
Yep. So it would be so the same with cars. We would have to pay for the hardware, the computer to plug into the computer on the machine, right? The handheld computer or laptop or scanner. Generally with heavy equipment, it's a laptop, and it's the software and it's the cables that connect the computer to the machine that we are not able to buy. And like John Deere did finally go and buy themselves the rights to work on the machines that they've been selling us, right? These non-John Deere branded machines that they deal. But like for a year, we had that machine and the dealership didn't even have the ability to work on it. But as I said, even if the dealership does have the ability to work on it, like with our John Deere tractors, our John Deere skid steer, if it's after hours, if it's a Sunday, if they are too busy, then it doesn't matter that they have the ability, because they don't have the time, they don't have the, they're not going to come out on a Sunday.
Thank you. Representative Pearl.
So we've been hearing about this MOU with John Deere that's allowing people to have the equipment now. I'm wondering if you, like for the tractor and the skid steer example, have you looked into buying the equipment from the dealer so you have the software? And if so, is it available and how expensive is it?
Yeah, so I haven't. The last time I looked into buying software, a laptop set up to talk to the John Deere computers, it's about $10,000. That would be one that allowed you to fully modify the tractor any way that you saw fit, upping horsepower, doing deletes and stuff like that. We haven't done it with that just because we've generally been able to get by. I would imagine that there would be less expensive options if all you were looking to do was, instead of modify software, just reset that software. So I have looked in a little bit into getting some software, because some is available, but there's no standard. So with cars, you could take the same scanner and plug that into a Lamborghini or a Ford Focus or a Jeep or what have you. And there's no standardization with the tractor equipment like there is with our cars.
Representative O'Brien.
So along those lines, Andy, if you look at your inventory of equipment you use, how many dealers, do you sort of regularly deal with for getting fixes, and sort of where are they?
Yep. So for the most part in Vermont, you're only looking at dealing with 3 dealers, at least in our area. We've got Champlain Valley Equipment. We've got United Ag and Turf, which used to be Harvest Equipment. And there's a little bit of service from Monroe Tractor, but not really. So it's mostly just those 2 dealerships, Champlain Valley Equipment and United Ag and Turf. So sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, that's exactly what I wanted to know. Where are they located for you up there?
Yeah, so they're both an hour away. They're both in Derby, like all the services for Orleans County.
So when you buy equipment, do you now are you sort of like nervous if we're getting a Fiat, telehandler from John Deere? They may not be able to support that. I mean, is that going forward? Are you going to?
That's always been an issue when we go to buy any piece of equipment. We always ask questions about serviceability, and we were honestly misled that they would be able to tinker on this Merlot when we bought it, this telehandler. But yes, that is absolutely something that we are looking for. Do you have the software, and do you have the technicians that have been trained to work on these very complex pieces of equipment?
All right, I'm not seeing any other hands raised. Representative Levitt, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a question earlier, but no one saw my hand, which is how do we address non-American made equipment? But we can take that up later. Like what the committee was talking about yesterday in terms of, I have a German product, I have a Swedish product, but that's a question for another day.
Okay. I'm not sure which day that might be. Very good.
I mean, my answer to that would be that we compel any auto manufacturer that wishes to sell in the United States market to conform to our codes, for whether it be safety or, requiring them to have software available.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you then, Andy, for being available this morning to testify. We appreciate it. And we'll let you get back to work.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for taking up this issue.
Thank you. All right. We have, looks like a little time. Our next witness is scheduled for, it's Joe, who I see sitting here, but not scheduled until 10. So we should stick to our schedule. So we'll take a break. And unless there are thoughts, comments, anybody wants to raise on the testimony we've heard either this morning or earlier?
I'm playing devil's advocate here, but just to the point that Andy just made about, and that's why I asked the question about if they had bought any of the software or anything like this. There's nothing in this legislation that would require manufacturers to create a universal like OB2 port like cars have. Like this is making a software available, but it's still not accessible in the form of easy, simple, like you're not gonna be able to get a $20 scanner at Napa and plug it into every vehicle to diagnose or delete a code, just for clarity.
Yeah. Mike,
I don't think that that's necessarily playing devil's advocate. I think that
Yeah.
that's true, but
Yeah, yeah.
this is a step in a direction,
Sure,
right?
yeah,
And you need to take steps to get to a place where that might be possible.
You know, one thing I've learned the hard way, but that last testimony reminded me, don't buy anything, and you really have to do serious interrogatories with the sales people or the service department about what their capacity is. Because usually when I need a piece of equipment, I needed it bad because the old one died and is not resuscitatable. So you'd run around the Northeast to try to find something used. And your mind doesn't work as clearly when you're stressed as when you're
you're not thinking about the next
methodical.
time it's gonna
Yeah.
die, yeah.
So, you know, and the point, a lot of these companies, whether it's Deere or Cat or any of them, they have equipment that's made all over the world and maybe even not under their brand because it's too specialized. So that should be a real code to concern that we learned from that story on the telehandler. I've had fly people out from Iron River, Michigan in the Upper Peninsula, put them up for 4 days, not be able to cure the problem, already paid their round trip ticket and given them, you know, so it's frustrating when you can't repair them.
Well, let's take our break and we'll be right back at 10, please.